You and Ryan have been a team for how long?
We've worked together for a decade.
A decade?
A decade, a little bit more actually, because we started together
longer
on...
than more marriages.
Well, right. There's a lot of similarities in, you know, the relationship between a director and an editor. Yeah, I mean, we started in 2011 on Looper.
Yeah.
So we've done 4 movies and a couple of episodes of a series that Ryan has created.
Now, the first movie was all about the snarky family and just what they want to backstab everybody.
Yes.
But this is a little different. And the thing that got me were the little cameos. And I don't know if you had anything like that in the first film.
Not in the same way,
Not
certainly.
in the same way.
Yeah, no, absolutely, yeah, no.
But the atmosphere is very different. How would you compare it to the first one?
Well, I mean, the first one sort of feels like a murder mystery set in England, right? Because it's in New England, it's in the Boston area, right? It's sort of cold and gray, and this movie is much more vibrant because it mostly takes place it mostly takes place in Greece, and I think that change in locale was a kind of a sort of a master stroke. So the movie has a very different feel, which I think the audience is going to enjoy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like it was uncomfortable a little more in the first film because again everybody was just hating on each other. So
Yes.
But now these people kind of like each other.
Well, seemingly, right?
But they're
Yeah, they seemingly like one another.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they're sort of cut from the same cloth in a way, but you're right. I mean, on the surface, it seems like they're friends.
Yeah.
And also there's, I think another component that's a real difference in dynamic is the dynamic of a family, people who are stuck with one another no matter what, versus a group of people that came together as friends. And I think that adds a nice change of flavor for the new film.
And also there's a lot of artwork all around.
Yes.
And it's a different atmosphere, like you say, and they're also on an island somewhere.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, but I don't think they're relaxing that much.
No, it's not a relaxing thing for anyone because someone's going to die.
So I was actually kind of wondering, there are definitely differences in the editing style from the first one to the second one. But just in general, when I'm wondering what scene or part of the movie presented the biggest challenge to you as an editor in cutting this film together?
I think actually the biggest challenge of the film really is anytime you deal with an ensemble, right? Like this film is trying to balance all of the characters and keep all the balls in the air and make sure everyone is given their due. Because even regardless of role, the size of the role, we want to try to make sure that all those flavors come together in a way that feels coherent. And that's like a really detailed oriented task. So I actually think that it's not one specific scene in the movie that is a complexity for my job, but I do think the challenges of keeping that disparate group of people balanced and working as a whole is I mean, and again, it's on the page, and the actors are giving you enormously great performances, but there's still a lot to it when you finally put the film together.
And one other thing I was really curious about is the scenes that take place in the actual, I almost want to say residence, but but the house. Was that actual glass, or was that a green screen on the?
It's actually a location in Greece, but there are visual effects that are enhancements to the place. Parts of the structure, have been added to the. So there's actually a lot of visual effects in the movie. They're all environmental. In other words, obviously it's not a creature movie and things like that, but in the place that we we photographed is not actually an island, it was on the coast. So that's another bit of trickery that's put in there. But there's this incredible villa that provides, you know, I don't know, 70% of the basis of what you see on screen.
Mm-hmm. And that
don't hold me on that number, but it's in that neighborhood.
Like 68.
Yeah, right, exactly. Something
that.
Like that, maybe 72.
But so did that like affect maybe not your, but like shooting and making sure that the light outside was?
No, absolutely. But I mean, you have a huge advantage, and I mean, you know, the weather in Greece is pretty great.
Yeah.
So that particular thing is not such a big challenge, but you know, Ryan and Steve Yedlin, who's the cameraman, they just worked a lot of it out so that you know, we didn't have to change every single environment, you know, because you can just do it by the angles that you pick and everything. But I mean, honestly, the place is enormous. I mean, so because of that, you know, a lot of what you see on screen there is really the deal.
Are you going to make this a series of movies? Or?
Yes, I know the hope is that we'll make another one. We hope that there will be another one if the audience likes this film, and hopefully they will.
Yeah. Well, it seems like I know it was said that you're going to put that in movie theaters too for a while.
Yes,
that's a good thing, and it's like the Women King 2. I mean,
yes.
I think probably that's going to end up, you know, on some streaming.
Yes,
yeah.
Yes. No. I mean, it's very, very exciting that the movie will be able to be in theaters, but then also, you know, so many people will watch the movie streaming. So, you know, however we reach people, you know, we're really happy about that. You know, whatever form that takes.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I think this is a great franchise because you can't go wrong with, you know, the main character being so good.
Yes, no, absolutely. Daniel Craig is so fantastic as Benoit Blanc, and you know, we always like working with our friend Benoit. It's really a lot of fun.
Now, what was the hardest thing for your job to make it just right?
You know, I think the challenge on this film is the same as it is on any other film. You know, you put the movie together. I mean, the main thing is the movie starts with a great script. So we have a great place to start. So our problems are not big, but as on any film, usually there's things that maybe the screenplay didn't accomplish that we ultimately need the movie to do, things that we need the movie to do. And then there's always pace issues, you know, that maybe weren't apparent in the screenplay. So that's another challenge, and especially with a film like this, because there's a lot of story to tell. And what you hope for is that it's not really about the running time, but it's about the pace of the film. And you know, this is a challenge on every movie, and that everybody faces when they get into post-production. And I would say that's actually one of the bigger things that we had to deal with, because the movie works on the page, so our problems were not big.
Well, this is not quite like a pro thing going on with Agatha Christie things. This is like upgraded and a little bit because it's, you know, those are old tales.
Right.
People all love, but we've seen them or read them 100 times. So I think this is a new way to get that going.
Absolutely, and Ryan has talked about this a lot, is that, you know, the Agatha Christie material greatly influences Ryan. He's a big murder mystery fan, but as he always points out, those stories were written to be of the time.
Right.
You know, and so we think of them as old now, but they weren't at the time, and I think that his approach with this series is exactly the same. You know, I mean, obviously we have a character that's living in our time, that's dealing with our issues, and so because of that, you know, I think it's really accessible and entertaining for the audience. It doesn't feel old or stuffy, right? It feels of the now.
Yeah.
What's really interesting, I think, about this movie, and I'm trying to say this in a way that doesn't spoil anything.
Yeah, which is important.
But there's the way that the second, I don't know if you would say act or half of the movie, reframes everything that we saw in the first act.
Yes.
And I'm wondering what approach do you bring to that as an editor to help convey that?
Well, you know, I mean, it's all in the details, because of course, you know, any time you do something like that in a movie, it has the potential to be disruptive to the audience in a way that's not good. You know, again, we're lucky that the screenplay works a lot of these problems out. But there were, I mean, I can't really talk about any of the details because it'll be giving some things away. But you know, we did have some minor issues with that when we were initially putting the movie in front of small audiences to sort of figure out how we were doing. And we made adjustments, you know, and the adjustments that we made, you know, we looked for ways to clarify things so the audience knew exactly where they were and what was happening. But that particular issue is a little bit specific, right? Because it's a change of time and a change of perspective. But in many ways, it's like any other movie. I mean, any other issue you have when you're editing a movie. And you know, we added a little bit of dialogue, and we cut a couple of lines, and we added, you know, something different about the way the transition works in the music. So these are all things that we attacked in dealing with the time structure of the movie. I think it worked, because I mean, people seem to really enjoy that, you know, it's a great feature of the film, I think.
And this is actually kind of a two-parter question, but so we had mentioned at the beginning that you have been working with Ryan now for about a little over a decade.
That's right.
Now.
Yep.
And I was curious. The first thing is I'm curious about was it just a chance thing that you guys you paired up together on Looper in the first place? And the second part of the question is, what made you want to keep on working with him throughout all these years?
You know, I mean, it's, you know, the movie business, I mean, like anything else in life, I mean, you know, there's just always a bit of luck. The way I would describe it is fortuitous for me. And hopefully for Ryan. I don't want to speak for him, but I think so, because we've been working together for a decade.
Okay, what are you most proud of on your, you know, side? What did you get that you really said, wow, I'm glad?
Well, I mean, to me, it's twofold. I mean, one is the movies, because I love the films.
Yeah.
And so, you know, you don't love everything that you work on. It's impossible, because it's extremely hard to make movies. But I think even more importantly, you know, our jobs take an enormous amount of time. You know, it's a significant portion of my life is spent doing my vocation, right? And so that means the people I spend my time with really matter. And Ryan is, you know, not only incredibly talented, but he's a fantastic person. And so because of that, who could not like that, right? You know, what you're spending your time making, you love, and the person that you're doing it with, you also love. So it's, you know, yeah. I'd say that that's what's on my mind anytime I think about, you know, doing these films.
And are you going to keep changing the cast, or you aren't there yet?
Oh, I think I mean, I can't speak to what the next picture is, but yes, I mean, I think that it will follow.
Well,
it'll follow the same template that
right.
that you know you've now experienced.
Yeah.
You know, where Benoit, you know, the detective, is the through line in the movies. Again, assuming that we continue to make more. I mean, the audience has to like the movie. You know, you can't get it too far ahead of things.
Right. Well, thank you for your talking to us and also making such a fun movie again.
Absolutely, and a pleasure talking to you as well.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.